There's a part of an INFJ no one ever meets at first, a deeper self they protect, like sacred ground, guarded, quiet, almost impossible to access. Most people only see their calm, their softness, their empathy, but beneath that gentle exterior lives an identity so complex, so intense, and so sharply intuitive that only a rare few ever get close enough to witness it. And that hidden identity changes everything. It's the part of them that reads people without trying, that senses tension before it exists, that understands emotions others can't even name. It's the version of them that doesn't speak often, but sees everything. And if you've ever wondered why INFJs feel different, this is why. They move through the world with a depth that doesn't match their age. Their thoughts run several layers beneath the surface. Their intuition speaks in quiet certainty, and their emotional understanding goes far beyond what most people can process. They're not mysterious because they're trying to be. They're mysterious because their mind and spirit exist in places most people never reach. They show only what feels safe, reveal only what feels earned, and keep the rest buried in silence. And the few who ever glimpse that hidden identity walk away knowing they've witnessed something rare. What people don't see is how much the INFJ holds back. The insights they never voice, the truths they notice but keep to themselves, the emotional flash they feel when someone's intentions shift by even an inch. They carry an entire world inside, one made of intuition, emotional memory, spiritual depth, and a clarity that often arrives long before logic catches up. And that inner world is why people feel drawn to them without understanding why, and why losing them feels like losing something irreplaceable. If you're still listening, it means you recognize that hidden part of yourself. So let me ask you this. What's one thing people always misunderstand about you? Drop the word sinner light in the comments so I know you felt this video all the way to the end, and subscribe for more INFJ psychology that finally speaks your language. They show kindness on the surface, but inside carry a depth most people can't comprehend. INFJs learn early that the world responds more easily to softness than to truth, so they move through life with a calm, gentle exterior that makes others feel comfortable while hiding a depth that very few will ever earn access to. What people see is the part of them that chooses empathy over conflict, patience over ego, understanding over reaction. But beneath that surface lies an internal world layered with intuition, emotional intelligence, spiritual awareness, and a kind of silent analysis that never stops working. Their kindness is real, but it is only the doorway, not the full home. And most people will never realize how many thoughts and feelings sit behind every word an INFJ speaks. They walk into a room and instantly sense the emotional temperature, not because they're trying to impress anyone, but because their mind naturally absorbs information others don't notice. Tension hiding behind forced smiles, exhaustion disguised as humor, insecurity buried inside loudness. Their surface calm is not emptiness. It is a shield that allows them to observe without drawing attention. People often mistake this softness for simplicity, but INFJs are anything but simple. They are constantly processing layers beneath the moment, reading emotional undercurrents, predicting outcomes, and analyzing motives. Their kindness becomes a way to navigate spaces without exposing the ocean they carry inside. Most people only see what the INFJ allows them to see, the polite nod, the steady presence, the quiet support. They never understand that this kindness requires energy, sensitivity, and awareness that goes far beyond being nice. It comes from a depth that has been shaped by introspection, heartbreak, misjudgment, and lessons learned in silence. INFJs know their intensity can overwhelm people, so they soften themselves to protect both sides of the interact. They choose warmth because they understand coldness too well. They choose kindness because they know the damage that cruelty can cause. They choose compassion because they have felt deeply enough to know how rare it is. But those who look deeper realize something extraordinary. Kindness is not their identity, it is their filter. Behind it stands a person who sees more, feels more, understands more, and carries more than they ever show. And only a rare few will ever be invited into that hidden depth, where the INFJ's true power, complexity, and emotional universe finally reveal themselves. They sense emotional truth instantly, even when everyone else believes the lie. INFJs don't rely on what people say, they rely on what people feel. While the world often gets blinded by charm, confidence, or carefully crafted stories, the INFJ sees straight through the performance and into the emotional truth hiding underneath. It happens in seconds. A shift in tone, a flicker in the eyes, a tension in the shoulders. These tiny signals speak louder to them than any explanation could. They don't need proof and they don't need time. Their intuition gathers every subtle detail and forms a quiet certainty long before logic catches up. It's not magic, it's emotional intelligence sharpened by years of observing what others ignore. And this ability makes INFJs feel out of place because while everyone else is clapping for the mask, they're already questioning the person behind it. They can sit in a room where everyone believes someone's charm, confidence, or fake kindness, yet the INFJ feels the discomfort pulsing beneath it. They feel the insecurity behind arrogance, the guilt behind defensiveness, the emptiness behind exaggerated happiness. Where others see a nice guy, an INFJ might sense manipulation. Where others see a leader, the INFJ might sense desperation. Where others see vulnerability, the INFJ might sense calculation. This sensitivity isn't chosen, it's automatic. Their mind is constantly scanning emotional wavelengths, picking up inconsistencies like a radar designed to detect what is real and what is performance. And because they notice what others miss, they often carry truths they cannot explain without sounding harsh, paranoid, or too intense. This gift also isolates them. Many INFJs have learned that calling out hidden intentions only brings resistance, denial, or conflict because people would rather protect the illusion than face the truth. So the INFJ stays quiet, watching, analyzing, and trusting their instincts, even when no one else does. And eventually, their intuition is proven right. It always is. The same people who doubted their perception come back shocked when the truth finally reveals itself. But by then, the INFJ has already moved on emotionally. They knew long before the revelation. They just didn't need validation to trust themselves. This is why INFJs are often seen as psychic or too perceptive. They aren't predicting the future. They're reading the present with a level of emotional clarity that most people never develop. It's not magic. It's awareness. It's intuition sharpened into insight. It's the quiet truth their mind captures long before the world is ready to see it. They hide their strongest thoughts because most people aren't ready for their intensity. INFJs think in layers so deep that sharing their real thoughts often feels like dropping a lightning strike into a room full of candles. They see connections others don't notice, feel emotional truths others avoid, and understand human behavior far beyond the surface. But they learned early that when they reveal the full weight of their insight, people pull back. Some feel exposed, some feel intimidated, some simply don't understand. So the INFJ becomes selective, guarding their most powerful thoughts like sacred territory. They speak softly but think fiercely, offering only small, digestible pieces of their inner world while keeping the storm of brilliance, intuition, and depth safely within them. When an INFJ listens, they're not just hearing words, they're analyzing motives, history, emotional wounds, and unspoken fears. Their mind connects everything like a map of invisible threads. But if they voiced what they really see, most people wouldn't know how to handle it. They've seen reactions, shock, discomfort, defensiveness, or the classic, "How did you know that?" So instead of overwhelming others, they edit themselves. They slow down their thinking, they soften their insights, they pretend not to notice what is painfully clear to them. It's not dishonesty, it's protection. Protection for themselves and protection for others who aren't ready for the truth. There's also a loneliness in this ability. They long to meet someone whose mind can handle their intensity without collapsing under it. Someone who doesn't get scared by depth, who doesn't misinterpret intensity as judgment, who doesn't mistake insight for overthinking. Until that person appears, INFJs speak with restraint, offering only the safest version of their brilliance while storing the rest within their private universe. A universe most people will never see. An universe most people will never see. Yet this hidden intensity shapes everything about them. It's why people feel there's more to them, even when they can't explain what. It's why their silence holds weight, why their words linger, why their presence feels both comforting and unsettling. The INFJ doesn't hide because they're weak. They hide because their mind is too powerful, too perceptive, too raw for a world that prefers surface-level thinking. And the few who earn access to these deeper layers never forget it. Because once an INFJ opens their inner world fully, you realize they weren't quiet, they were simply holding back for the right soul. They love quietly, but with a depth that changes people forever. INFJs don't fall in love loudly. They don't chase attention, they don't perform affection, and they don't love halfway. When they care, it comes from a place so deep, sincere, and steady that it reshapes the emotional landscape of the person who receives it. Their love is the kind that doesn't demand spotlight or applause. It settles into your life like a gentle but unshakable force, the kind that makes you feel understood in ways you've never been before. They love through presence, intuition, empathy, and a kind of quiet devotion that feels rare in a world addicted to noise. And because their love is subtle yet powerful, most people don't even realize how deeply they've been touched until the INFJ steps back and the absence hits harder than they ever imagined. To an INFJ, love isn't about grand gestures. It's about remembering the smallest details no one else noticed. It's about anticipating needs before they're spoken. It's about creating emotional safety without asking for anything in return. Their love is healing, grounding, and transformative because it reaches into emotional spaces people didn't know existed. They don't say, I love you with constant words. They show it through attention, through protection, through understanding someone's darkness without flinching. And this quiet depth is why their love lingers in people's lives long after the relationship changes or ends. It's not forgettable, it's foundational. But this depth comes with vulnerability. INFJs love rarely because each connection costs them energy, time, and emotional investment far beyond what others expend. They give pieces of themselves in every bond, and they feel the emotional weight of love more intensely than they ever admit. This is why they move slowly, why they choose selectively, why they guard their heart until they feel a soul-level alignment. Their love isn't casual, it's transformative, and transformation requires trust. Most people aren't prepared for that level of intimacy, so INFJs keep their heart protected behind layers of intuition, observation, and silence. Yet the paradox is this: those who receive an INFJ's quiet love are changed permanently. They become more understood, more supported, more seen than they've ever been. They often don't realize they were being loved at such depth until life feels emptier without it. And that is the hidden power of an INFJ's heart. It doesn't make noise, but it leaves imprints that echo through a person's soul long after the INFJ has moved on. They detach silently the moment someone crosses an inner boundary. INFJs don't announce their breaking point. They don't create scenes, they don't argue, and they don't warn you that you're getting close to losing them. Their boundaries are internal, intuitive, and deeply personal, shaped by past wounds, emotional lessons, and the quiet wisdom they accumulate over years of observing people's patterns. When someone crosses one of those inner lines, INFJs don't explode, they evaporate. Their detachment is calm, almost invisible, and yet it is absolute. It begins within them long before the outside world notices. They stop giving emotional energy, they stop explaining themselves, and they stop carrying the weight of the connection. The person who once felt their warmth now encounters a wall of silence that didn't appear suddenly. It was forming quietly in the background the entire time. INFJs detach not out of pettiness or revenge, but out of self-preservation. They feel deeply, too deeply, which means betrayal, disrespect, manipulation, or repeated disregard hits them with a force most people will never experience. And because they rarely give many chances, when someone repeatedly ignores their emotional limits, the INFJ recognizes a painful truth. The connection costs more than it gives. At that moment, something inside them shifts. The empathy remains, but the access ends. They choose peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and distance over emotional damage. Their withdrawal is not dramatic. It is surgical, quiet, and final. They don't seek closure because they've already created it internally. They don't seek understanding because they've already seen the truth in someone's actions. What makes this silent detachment so powerful is how unexpected it feels to the other person. INFJs show so much patience, compassion, and acceptance that people assume they will always stay. They assume the INFJ will keep forgiving, keep absorbing, keep trying to fix what's broken. But once an INFJ reaches their limit, their energy changes instantly. Conversations become shorter, emotional investment fades, their intuition shuts the door long before their words ever say it. And by the time someone realizes what's happening, the INFJ has already stepped back into their inner world, unreachable, uninterested, and fully at peace. Their silence becomes the goodbye, their distance becomes the lesson, and their absence becomes the reminder that you cannot mistreat someone who feels everything and expect them to stay forever. They carry emotional wisdom that feels older than their age. INFJs move through the world with a depth that doesn't match the number of years they've lived. It's as if their intuition learned to walk long before they did, guiding them through experiences with an understanding that other people spend decades trying to develop. This emotional wisdom isn't something they were taught, it's something they were born with, something woven into the way they observe people, interpret silence, and read between lines. Most never even notice. While others rely on logic, experience, or advice, INFJs rely on an inner compass that feels ancient, rooted, almost ancestral. They understand emotions before they're spoken, motives before they're revealed, endings before they arrive. People often mistake this clarity for luck or exaggeration or sensitivity, but it's none of those things. It's depth. The kind that comes from seeing the world not just as it is, but as it truly feels beneath the surface. Their emotional wisdom comes from a lifetime of watching more than they speak. INFJs absorb the stories around them, the fear behind someone's anger, the insecurity behind someone's arrogance, the longing hidden in someone's silence. They understand wounds because they feel them, even when they belong to someone else. And while this makes them incredibly empathetic, it also makes them profoundly aware. They notice patterns in human behavior, how people repeat their pain, how they sabotage their happiness, how they chase things that hurt them. And INFJs understand these cycles long before anyone else sees them. They can predict emotional storms, relationship shifts, and personal transformations with unsettling accuracy, not because they're psychic, but because they're attuned to what others fail to acknowledge. But carrying this emotional wisdom is both a gift and a burden. It makes INFJs seem older, calmer, and more grounded than their peers, and yet it often isolates them. They carry insights they cannot easily explain, truths they know others aren't ready to hear, and instincts that go far beyond their age or experience. This inner depth creates a quiet distance, not because they feel superior, but because they feel different. They are the type who understands too much, too early, and too deeply, which can make the world overwhelming at times, so they retreat, recharge, and return stronger, wiser, and more intuitive than before. Their wisdom grows not from time, but from perception, not from years, but from awareness. And while others may only see glimpses of it, those who truly know an INFJ understand they're not just emotionally intelligent, they're emotionally timeless. They have a private intuition that guides their decisions long before logic catches up. INFJs navigate life with an inner signal that speaks long before facts, evidence, or explanation appear. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it doesn't shout or demand attention, it simply knows. While most people rely on visible information, what they can measure, confirm, or rationalize, INFJs move through the world guided by a quieter force that senses what's coming before it arrives. Their intuition works like a private compass, hidden beneath their calm expression, pulling them toward the right people, the right opportunities, and the right paths without needing to spell out why. They'll walk away from someone before betrayal happens, choose a direction before the reason becomes clear, or say no to something everyone else thinks is perfect, only to learn later that their instinct had been protecting them all along. And although others sometimes question their choices, INFJs rarely question this inner voice, because every time they've ignored it, they've paid the price. This private intuition doesn't come from nowhere, it comes from years of observing what others overlook. INFJs are emotional pattern readers, absorbing small signals that most people dismiss. The shift in someone's tone, the delay in their answer, the mismatch between their smile and their eyes, the way a situation feels when something beneath the surface has shifted. These details accumulate inside the INFJ without conscious effort, forming a quiet map of understanding that points them toward truths other people won't recognize until much later. But the INFJ doesn't rush to explain how they know, partly because they can't always articulate it, and partly because they've learned that most people won't understand anyway. So they keep their intuition private, trusting it silently while the world tries to justify itself with logic. This instinctive guidance shapes every part of their life. It protects them from manipulation because they sense dishonesty instantly. It leads them to the right relationships because they feel authenticity long before words confirm it. It helps them avoid chaos because they can see the emotional storm forming on the horizon. And it turns their life journey into something that looks effortless from the outside, but is really the result of deep internal alignment. When INFJs make decisive moves, walking away, choosing differently, starting over, people often assume it came out of nowhere. They don't realize the INFJ saw the truth long before it surfaced, prepared quietly, and acted when the moment felt right. For the INFJ, intuition isn't a mystery or supernatural gift. It's a lifelong companion, a silent ally that knows far more than logic ever will. It guides their growth, their boundaries, their relationships, and their destiny. And the more they trust it, the more unstoppable they become. They reveal their true self only to those who prove they can be trusted with it. INFJs move through life with a softness that many mistake for openness, but in reality, they are some of the most private souls alive. Their true self, the unfiltered depth, the vulnerable truth, the unspoken layers of who they are, is never placed casually in someone's hands. It's earned slowly, quietly, through consistency rather than charm, actions rather than promises. Most people will only ever meet the surface version of an INFJ, polite, warm, perceptive, but beneath that first impression lives a world of emotion, intuition, and depth, so intricate that the INFJ protects it like something sacred. Not because they're hiding, but because they understand how rare and powerful their inner self truly is. They won't expose it to anyone who treats emotions lightly or plays carelessly with the hearts of others. Trust for an INFJ is built like a bridge, step by careful step. They watch how someone speaks to waiters, how they treat people who can't offer them anything, how they react in moments of tension. They're not looking for perfection, they're looking for sincerity. They're looking for someone whose intentions match their words, whose presence brings safety instead of noise, whose honesty doesn't shift depending on convenience. When they sense someone is genuine, not perfect, but emotionally real, something inside them begins to unlock. Their eyes soften, their energy becomes more transparent, and they start sharing pieces of their inner world that almost no one else sees. Stories, fears, dreams, wounds, wisdom, the truth beneath their silence. But they share slowly because they've learned that even good people can mishandle a fragile heart if they aren't self-aware. And when the trust deepens, the INFJ reveals the parts of themselves that make them unforgettable. Their insight sharpens, their empathy deepens, their emotional intelligence becomes a guiding light for the relationship. They give love not as a transaction, but as a soul-level connection. But this vulnerability is never permanent. If someone betrays or disrespects it, the INFJ retreats so quickly and quietly that the other person never sees it coming. Once the bridge cracks, it rarely gets rebuilt. Their heart closes, not in anger, but in self-preservation, and the door to their inner world locks again as if it was never opened. So yes, an INFJ reveals their true self only to those who prove they can hold it without breaking it. And when they do find that rare person, the connection becomes something most people spend their entire lives searching for: honest, deep, loyal, and transformative. It's not just trust. It's a soul choosing to be seen. When you understand an INFJ's hidden identity, you realize something powerful. They are not mysterious because they're trying to be. They're mysterious because only a few people have ever earned the right to see who they really are. Most will only meet their surface. Only the rare few will ever meet their soul. If this resonated with you, you're one of the rare minds who understands depth. And that already sets you apart from the world. Before you go, tell me in the comments, what's the one thing you keep hidden that most people never notice? Drop the word real if you watched until the end. I'll be looking for the deep ones. And if you're new here, subscribe for more INFJ and psychology insights that feel like someone finally understands you.